I quietly shelled out $12,800 for their 40th anniversary celebration, hoping it would be a heartfelt surprise. During dinner, Mom remarked, "You're just a shadow next to your brother." Dad chimed in, "Stay away if you can't uphold the family's reputation." I gave a faint smile and said, "Then let him cover the costs too." That night, I scrapped all the arrangements. A week later, Mom called about the rent. I told her, "Ask the one with the reputation." "You didn't need to go this far," she said, fidgeting with the pearl necklace I'd gifted her last Christmas. We were midway through a quiet dinner, just the four of us. Me, my younger brother Daniel, and our parents. It was meant to be a simple meal, no special occasion, no big announcement. The real surprise was planned for the next evening. The grand reveal. I'd spent months organizing a 40th wedding anniversary bash they knew nothing about. I secured the venue, prepaid the caterers, hired a string quartet, and even converted old VHS tapes into a digital slideshow. I managed it all alone, discreetly. I wasn't after praise, I just wanted them to feel cherished. But Daniel, he always craved the spotlight. "Guess what?" he said, raising his wine glass. "I let them know something huge is coming." I looked up from my plate. "You spilled the beans about the party?" He grinned. "Chill, I didn't say it was your idea." My fork stopped midair. Mom's face brightened. "So it was your plan, Daniel?" "Oh, honey, of course it was. You always dream big." She patted his hand and chuckled. "He's got that spark, doesn't he?" Then came the sting. "You," she turned to me, "you're more of a behind-the-scenes type. A solid helper. But Daniel, he's got presence. You're just a shadow compared to him." I didn't flinch. Dad nodded as if it was obvious. "It matters, especially with guests. Don't show up if you can't act properly. We need to safeguard the family's image." I sipped my water. "Then let him handle the expenses too." Silence fell. I smiled. That night, I contacted every vendor and canceled. I withdrew the deposits, shut the whole event down. A week later, Mom called not to apologize, to ask if I could cover their rent. I didn't waver. "Ask the one with the image." You want to know how I ended up spending $12,800 on a celebration that never happened? It all started, as most things in my life do, with Daniel. My younger brother, Ivy League star, family pride, the golden child. He got into Stanford last year. Big social media fanfare. Countless photos of him in a pricey hoodie that probably cost more than my entire wardrobe. Glowing captions from Mom. "Our boy's headed for greatness." They never mentioned who was paying for it. Because the truth is, Stanford isn't cheap. It's a fortune. And while they all paraded around acting like Daniel's genius earned him the world, the actual funds, they came from me. When Dad's small business collapsed 2 years ago, I stepped up, quietly, took extra work, canceled my own plans. I started covering groceries, then rent, then utilities. It piled up. When Daniel got into Stanford, I thought they'd finally acknowledge they needed help. Instead, they called and said, "We're doing this for Daniel's future. He's earned it." As if I wasn't part of the family, as if I wasn't their son too. Mom cried. Dad said, "It's just for now." I agreed to help. $1,200 for the first quarter. Next quarter, a problem with the loan, I paid again. By spring, I'd spent over $11,000. And still, every family dinner, every call, it was Daniel this, Daniel that. No one ever asked how I was holding up. No one cared that I was living in a tiny apartment, eating instant noodles, scraping by. I was the unseen one. The reliable one. I didn't even resent Daniel at first. I thought maybe he's really grinding. Maybe he'll make this worth it. Then I learned the truth. I was at home one weekend fixing the radiator in Mom's car. Daniel was upstairs, supposedly in an online class. His laptop was open in the living room. Notifications kept popping up. Discord, Reddit, YouTube. Curious, I clicked. No class recordings, no assignments. Just posts on forums about dodging lectures, sharing notes, tips for appealing academic warnings. He'd already been flagged for attendance. His grades were barely passing. And the worst part, he was planning to drop out after this semester to start his own venture. His words, not mine. I didn't confront him right away. I needed proof. So I reached out to a friend in Stanford's admissions office. She owed me a favor. I asked hypothetically what happens if a student skips 60% of their classes. She confirmed. Probation, then suspension. Daniel was teetering on the edge. Meanwhile, my parents were still bragging to neighbors that their son was on his way to becoming a doctor. Still treating me like a sidekick. When I confronted Daniel, he laughed. "You stress too much," he said. "It's all good." "Good, you're failing. You're wasting money." "It's not your money," he cut me off. "It's Mom and Dad's." That's when it clicked. They didn't know. They genuinely thought he was excelling, that he was their star because he let them believe it. He faked the image. And I funded it. The breaking point came 2 weeks later. We were at dinner, just us, at my place. Daniel showed up unannounced. He brought up Mom and Dad's anniversary, said he was thinking of doing something special. He leaned back in my chair, drank my beer, and said, "I might book that fancy rooftop place downtown. It's pricey, but for them, worth it." I stared at him. He wasn't serious. He couldn't afford that venue. I knew it. He knew it. But the next morning, Mom texted me. "Daniel told us about your plan. We're thrilled for the party. You boys teaming up is so sweet." My plan? He was taking credit for something he hadn't even begun. That's when I lost it. I doubled down on the arrangements, not to share with him, but to prove who was really behind it all. I made every booking, paid deposits, designed invitations, contacted relatives, arranged transport, and I stayed silent. I wanted the moment when I'd stand up, mic in hand, and say, "Surprise!" I did this. But Daniel had other ideas. He told them first. And just like that, in one sentence, they gave him the glory again. They saw him as the generous son, the mastermind, the one who orchestrated it all. I was just the helper, the background, the shadow. So when they said, "Don't show up if you can't respect the family's image," I didn't argue. I canceled everything, and I waited. The week after I pulled the plug, it was silence. No one called, no one asked, not even Daniel. I figured they were confused, waiting for some last-minute miracle. Or maybe they thought I was joking. Like I'd get emotional and piece it all back together at the 11th hour. They didn't realize I wasn't joking. I was done. Then came Saturday. The day the party was supposed to happen, I stayed in, ordered cheap takeout, watched old sitcoms, ignored every notification on my phone. By 7 p.m., I had 5 missed calls from Dad, 2 from Mom, and a few from cousins asking if the event was still on. I didn't respond to any. By Sunday morning, the texts flooded in. "Dad, we need to talk. This isn't a game." "Mom, what happened to the venue? People showed up." "Daniel, you're seriously messed up, man. What's your deal?" That last one almost made me laugh. They were upset about optics, embarrassed, not sorry, and then the real fallout hit. Monday, 8:42 a.m., Mom called. I picked up. "Hello," she skipped pleasantries. "Did you cancel it all?" "Yes." Silence. "I don't get it," she said. "People showed up, no food, no music, nothing." I know, she sighed heavily like I'd just confessed to wrecking her car. "I thought you were better than this," she said. "Better than what, being invisible?" She paused. "Don't start. You said I was a shadow, Mom." At dinner, right in front of him, her voice softened. "That's not what I meant." "It's exactly what you meant," she didn't argue. "What do you want me to say?" "That you knew he didn't plan anything, that he didn't pay a dime, that I was the one who did it all, again." "That's not fair," she snapped. "He tried," he lied. "You didn't have to humiliate us like this. You embarrassed the whole family." "No," I said. "I stopped bankrolling your fantasy." She hung up. A few hours later, Dad called. "You think this is how you treat family?" He barked. "I treated you better than you deserved. You shamed us in front of everyone. I paid for your lives for 3 years, and you told me not to come. We were upset. You said I wasn't good enough for the family's image, so I let the one with the image handle the bills." "You're bitter," he said coldly, "and selfish." I laughed. "That sounds self-centered. I've been your ATM since Daniel got into college." "That's not true." "I have the receipts." He didn't reply. "I know about Stanford." I added, "the warnings. The probation, the fact that he's not even passing." Silence. "I spoke to someone in the registrar's office. He's about to get kicked out." "You had no right." "I paid for it. I have every right." He mumbled something I didn't catch. "Daniel's not who you think he is," I continued. "He's been lying. He doesn't care about any of this. He just wanted the praise, like always." "I don't believe you." "Then ask him." He hung up too. I thought that was the end. That they'd rally around their golden boy and pretend I didn't exist. But then Wednesday came, and something changed. Mom called again. This time she didn't sound mad. She sounded exhausted. "Can we talk?" she asked. "Just us?" I didn't want to, but I said yes. She came to my apartment that evening. No makeup, no pearls, no forced smile. We sat quietly for a while, then she said, "I didn't know." I stayed silent. I thought he was doing fine. He always sounded so sure of himself. I guess I wanted to believe him. "You didn't want to believe me," she looked down. "I never meant to make you feel less," she said, "but you did." "I know." She wiped her eyes. "I told your father what you said about Stanford. He called Daniel. It's true. He's being suspended next week." I nodded. "He said he needs a break, that he's starting something new." "Of course he is." She looked at me again. "You really planned all that? The party?" "Yes, and you paid for it." "Every cent." Her voice broke. "Why?" "Because I wanted to do something meaningful for once, something that wasn't invisible." She reached for my hand, but I didn't move. "I'm sorry," she said. "Truly." I didn't respond. I wasn't ready to forgive, not yet. Then came the moment that sealed it. She asked, "Can you help with the rent this month, just until we figure things out?" I pulled my hand back. "No," I said, "ask Daniel." She looked stunned, like she thought her apology earned her another favor. It didn't. After that call with Mom, things went quiet. No more desperate messages, no more pleas for help, just silence. It wasn't peaceful at first. It was heavy, like the calm after a storm when the air still feels charged. For the first few days, I braced for another outburst. Another guilt-laden voicemail, but nothing came, just emptiness. For the first time in years, I had my life back. I started waking up without anxiety. No bank alerts, no frantic family calls, no veiled requests for money disguised as concern. I went to work, came home, cooked real meals. I didn't check my phone constantly, waiting for the next crisis. I hadn't realized how much of my energy went into propping everyone up, like I was the foundation of a crumbling house. Now that I'd stepped back, I saw how much I'd been carrying. I started sleeping better. I reconnected with old friends. I even joined a local basketball group. Nothing big, just something for me. I hadn't done anything for myself in years. Money stopped disappearing from my account. I made a plan, not just a monthly budget, a real future. I started saving again. Opened a new account labeled Fresh Start Fund. Each deposit felt like a step toward a life I hadn't had before. Then, about 4 weeks after the party that never was, I got a call from an unknown number. I ignored it. But it kept ringing. Again and again, curiosity won out. "Hello," a familiar voice. "Hey, it's Emma." I blinked. Emma, Daniel's ex. They'd dated for 2 years. She was the sharp one, the grounded one. I always wondered what she saw in him. But she left just before he moved to California for college. She always seemed like someone who saw things clearly. "I know this is random," she said, "but you need to see something." "What's going on?" "I work at First Union Bank now. I'm in loan processing." "Okay," she hesitated. "Your name came up on my desk." My stomach clenched. "What?" "There's a pending private student loan. $22,000 co-signed." "In your name?" My throat went dry. "You didn't apply for a loan recently, did you?" "No, that's what I figured," she explained. "The application was submitted 2 months ago. My SSN was used, the signature too, but it was a scanned copy. The timestamps didn't add up, and the ID looked doctored." "I recognized your name," she said, "and I know Daniel. I flagged it. I dug deeper." I stayed quiet. "He used your information. Forged the documents. Tried to take out a loan for himself." The line hummed. "I stopped it from going through." "But you need to report this now." I checked my credit report. There it was, pending, co-signed under my name, Daniel. Even after I cut him off. Even after I poured everything into him. Even after I said I was finished. He tried to exploit me. Again, I wasn't furious. I wasn't stunned. I wasn't even wounded. I was done. The next day, I filed a report with the authorities. I submitted all the evidence. I reached out to the fraud division, locked my credit, reported the attempted identity theft. I didn't inform Daniel. I didn't alert Mom. I didn't call Dad. I wasn't giving them another chance to sweep it under the rug. 2 days later, legal action was taken against Daniel. Financial misconduct, unauthorized use of personal data, document tampering. That's when the floodgates opened again, a voicemail from Mom. "This has to be a mix-up. Please, let's talk." A text from Dad. "You've crossed a line this time." Even a message from a distant aunt I hadn't spoken to in years. "Family is family. You don't turn on your own blood." But blood doesn't mean you can steal from someone and expect silence. I didn't reply to any of them. The only message I opened, Emma sent a follow-up. "Glad I caught it. Hope you're holding up. If you ever need anything, even just someone to remind you you're not losing it, I'm here." I responded. "Thank you. That means more than you know." The wildest part, I wasn't shocked. Deep down, I knew it wasn't over. People like Daniel don't stop until someone forces them to. And people like my parents, they don't see the harm until it jeopardizes their image. A week after the arrest, I received a letter in the mail. From Daniel, handwritten. He didn't say sorry. He blamed me. Said I blew it out of proportion. Said I should have talked to him first. Said I destroyed his future over a misunderstanding. I didn't reply. I folded the letter and fed it to the shredder. Then I went back to living. And for the first time in my adult life, I was truly free. It's been 6 months since Daniel's arrest. The charges didn't vanish. The evidence was airtight. The fraudulent loan application, the forged paperwork, the manipulated files. In the end, he took a plea deal, no jail time. But a criminal record, mandatory counseling, and community service. He never reached out. No apology, no explanation, no anger either, just silence. The last I heard about him came from a distant cousin. He's working on some venture with friends, they said, trying to rebuild. I didn't ask for more details. My parents didn't take it well. They told relatives it was a legal mix-up, that Daniel was framed and was moving forward with grand plans. They rewrote the narrative, as always, but this time they left me out of their revisions. They haven't asked for my help since. Not for rent, not for Daniel. Not even to justify myself. The silence I once found unsettling now feels deserved. I finally got the chance to build my own life. Not as a fallback, not as a safety net, not as someone else's emergency fund, just mine. I moved to a new apartment, spacious. Sunlight streams through the windows in the morning, and I actually have time to enjoy it. It's not luxurious, but it's calm, secure. For the first time, I don't feel like I'm living on borrowed time or money. I tossed out the box of receipts I used to keep, the proof of everything I'd covered. I used to think I'd need them someday to justify myself. But now I realize I don't owe anyone an explanation. I lived it. I know what I did, that's enough. I started new habits, small ones. I cook meals on Sundays. I read more. I stopped checking my phone every few minutes. I repaired my bike. I take it out on weekends, ride along the river. Listen to music I actually enjoy, not the stuff Daniel used to blare when he crashed at my place and forgot his earbuds. I reconnected with people I'd lost touch with while I was too busy rescuing my family. Turns out I wasn't as forgotten as I thought. I was just unavailable, always preoccupied, always drained, always cleaning up someone else's mess. Now when people call, I actually have the energy to listen. I've also learned to say no without guilt. That took longer than I expected. For years, saying no felt like failing, like disloyalty. But the truth is, boundaries aren't barriers. They're gates with locks. You decide who gets in, and I'm finally the one holding the key. Mom still calls sometimes, not often. Her voicemails are layered. One time she was emotional. Another time she pointed fingers. Once she sounded like she genuinely missed me. But I haven't called back. I'm not punishing her, I just don't trust her yet. Forgiveness isn't automatic. It's earned. And she hasn't earned it. Dad hasn't reached out at all. Not a single message, not a single apology. I think he's still angry, not about what Daniel did, but about what I did, about exposing the truth, about making them face who they'd raised, and what they'd overlooked. But I've stopped trying to make them understand. I stopped fighting for a place at a table that was never meant for me. Instead, I built my own. Work is better too. I got a promotion, a role with more responsibility, but also more respect. People listen when I speak now. I don't get ignored or dismissed. I don't feel like a stand-in anymore. And for the first time when I get paid, the money is mine. I booked a small trip, a real one. No drama, no fake crises ruining it, just 4 days away. No one else's problems in my pocket, that's what freedom feels like. Not loud, not dramatic, just uninterrupted peace. Then something unexpected happened. Emma texted again. She asked if I wanted to grab coffee. No pressure, just friends, unless it feels off. It didn't feel off. We met at a small cafe we'd never been to before, talked for nearly 3 hours. We laughed more than I expected. She still had that same steady energy, still sharp, still clear-sighted. At one point she said, "I don't know how you carried all that." I would have broken much sooner, I shrugged. I didn't know I could stop. That resonated with her, she nodded. That's the thing with people like us. We think enduring means we're fine. It stuck with me. We didn't make plans beyond that first coffee, but we've texted almost daily since. I don't know where it's headed, but it feels genuine. Honest, there's no pretending, no debt, no performance, just space to be myself. And that's more than I ever had with my own family. I still think about that dinner sometimes. The one where Mom looked at me and said, "You're a shadow compared to your brother." It used to weigh on me. Now it reminds me how far I've come, because shadows don't vanish by fighting the light. They vanish when you step out of someone else's. I don't need to prove anything anymore. Not to them, not to him, not even to myself. I was never the problem. I was just tired of being unseen. Now I'm living.